Well, good afternoon, guys. Welcome here to the Territory Wildlife Park and to behind the scenes at the flight deck. This is part of the Discover the Wild. And my name's Jess. I'm the supervisor here at the flight deck. And that means running a team of people that look after a whole range of different bird life and mostly birds of prey, which is very cool. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at a Rufous owl. And her name's Ruby. She's 20 years old. Not only am I going to talk to you about what she's like personally, she's really lovely and quite gentle and kind, but I'm also going to talk to you about what they're like in the wild and where you can find them and what sort of things they eat and all of that. And you can do it from the comfort of where you are right now, and it's lovely to be able to give you that connection with nature, even though you might be stuck somewhere or having to isolate. So should we go over and meet Ruby? Ruby! So this is Ruby. Ruby the Rufous owl. And they're a member of the Ninox family, or also known as a hawk-faced owl. So you can see she's got those lovely big eyes and lots of feathers around her eyes and her beak, which act a little bit like whiskers, letting her know if something's too close, and then she can close her eyes to protect them if she needs to. Now, Rufous owls are found in a monsoon forest. Now, monsoon forest in our top end, there's roughly about 15,000 of them. And the next best thing is sometimes just our backyard because it's watered and it's a really lush garden. They really like that as well. And what they're after is generally a permanent source of water. And that means that their prey is going to be coming along and having a drink. And that's really why they're there. So they're a little bit lazy, if you like. They'll just sit up in a tree on a perch above a stream or a creek and wait for perhaps a possum or a little malamy, a little native mouse, to come along, have a drink, and all they have to do is just swoop down out of that tree and snatch up that prey. And it's quite easy for them to do that because they have silent flight, which is very cool. Now, the reason for silent flight, the reason why it is silent, is because their feathers are very soft. And that's helping to break up the air as they fly. And you can probably see there on her toes, she's got what looks like hairy toes, but they're actually like a bit of a modified feather, and that's helping to break up the air as she flies, so that reduces the sound as well. She's beautifully camouflaged, so she'll blend in to that environment. That rufous colouring, those stripes, is really helping her to camouflage. So quite an unusual feature that's believed to be unique to the Rufous owls is a bit of a hook, if you like, on their wing. It's covered with skin and is bone underneath. Let's have a look. You going to show us, Ruby? It's quite difficult to see. But that's actually believed to help them because they're taking such large prey. It requires pretty much 2 feet to hold onto that prey. So to free them up, it's believed that they use that hook on their wing to actually hang themselves in a tree off it, and then they can utilize both feet to hold onto that large prey, which is very weird. And we've seen her hang from that a couple of times, thinking that she was potentially in trouble, but it's associated with her having large prey and being able to hold on to it, which is quite unique. So Rufous owls are a nocturnal species, and they're also a raptor. So raptor is actually a bird that captures and kills its prey using its feet. Now Rufous owls and most nocturnal raptors, so you have raptors that are active during the day, the diurnal, and then you have the nocturnal raptors. And the nocturnal ones actually have 2 toes at the front and 2 toes at the back, which is unique to the nocturnal raptors. Now we believe that creates like a really good cage-like grip for holding onto their wiggly prey. So Ruby's 20 years old this year, so next year is her 21st birthday, which is quite a big event for us. And Ruby actually came to us as a tiny little chick. She was artificially incubated and bred for the park. So coming to us at such a young age means that she's become an imprinted bird. So she really looks to us as family, if you like. So she's quite affectionate and got quite a lovely little personality, and recognises each of us keepers. And she also, some mornings when we go into her aviary, she likes to do our hair. So it's similar to preening another bird. So see if she wants to do it right now. Maybe can you do my hair for me? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Or do you think it might just be a big possum? I'm not sure. Thank you. I'll do your hair now. Quite lovely, aren't you, darling girl? Yes, you're lovely. She, a bit of a cuddle monster. You love the cuddles. You are a lovely girl. Yeah. You're very lucky to have this job. It's important with apex predators, which she is, to have big feed up days and then smaller days of smaller feed. And today just so happens to be a big feed up day, which is pretty cool. So with their larger prey, the Rufous owl will pick away at that prey, holding it with their feet and using their curved beak to rip and tear. And they can take a full day to potentially eat that prey, and then, like I said before, drop what they don't want once they're full. So that's what we call gorging. But when it's smaller prey, such as this mouse, they can actually swallow it whole. So because they're eating large prey, they can afford to actually waste a bit of that food, which is quite interesting. You think a lot of animals in the wild, they'd be making the most of every bit of food that they receive because they're surviving, you know, that's quite hard to come by. But Rufous owls are so good at what they do that they can actually afford to waste food, and they're really well known for it. And sometimes the way people find a Rufous owl is by finding something that's left behind, maybe half a possum. Sounds a bit gruesome, but they go, oh look, you know what, I don't need to eat that, so they'll drop it to the ground. Sometimes if you find that and you look up, there's sometimes a Rufous owl sitting right there. So they spend a lot of their time sleeping and just sitting around. So they're what we call a sedentary bird. So not doing a whole lot, just because they're so good at what they do. They don't need to be out hunting all night, because they pretty much wait for their prey to come to them, which is pretty clever. But these monsoon forests are quite beautiful. They're very lush because they do have that permanent source of water, and the habitat looks very much like this habitat just behind us here. So you've got palm trees and most plants that aren't generally deciduous, so it stays quite lush all year round. And the Rufous owls, if the food's plentiful, they won't really move very far at all, so they'll stay within that same area. But they will take advantage of some people's backyards and even the botanical gardens. If you did want to see them, head on down to the botanical gardens. They love that spot there. It's really lush. There's a permanent source of water, so it's just right for them. And some, if you are really lucky, they will move into your backyard because there'll be possums in there as well, so all their favourite prey. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed meeting Ruby, and hopefully you've learnt a little bit more about Rufous owls. But stay tuned, because Discover the Wild will be back tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Thanks, guys.